We have a Surgeon General warning, pun intended. Trump has nominated Casey Means as the next Surgeon General. Since we're on the topic, Craig, of MAGAs, in this case, MAHAs, calling it out, there's a massive pushback to this situation here with Casey Means. Let's look a little closer at this, and then we'll have a discussion. We'll start with Trump's tweet. This happened very recently. I think this was yesterday morning. He made a little switch. Let me grab. Oh, I got it right here. This is Trump's tweet about Casey Means. I'm pleased to announce that Dr. Casey Means will be nominated as our next Surgeon General of the U.S. Casey has an impeccable MAHA credentials and will work closely with our wonderful Secretary of Health, Human Services, RFK, to assure a successful implementation of our agenda. That agenda being ignore the vaccine, of course, ignore anything with mRNA technology, of course, in order to reverse the chronic disease epidemic, of course, and ensure great health in the future for all Americans. There's all her achievement. It's to be noted that Casey herself is not an actual doctor, but she can pretend to be one as she moves forward into this nomination. Let's see. So she has, been outspoken about health, and we do need to give her a little credit for that. I want to play just a little clip of her on Tucker a little while back, where she does say everything right when we talk about health. So this is the positioning that why she seems like a perfect choice to fit into this feel-good mentality of we're getting something done, even though we're not getting anything done. Here's a little bit of what she has to say, where she says the right things. Let's see.
Make us sick, but they don't kill us, and then we are drugged for life. You look at what's happening in children. A child born in a hospital in the United States today, within hours of coming from source into this, into this body, the first thing that happens to them is pharmaceutical intervention without really asking, there's barely informed consent about this. That child's eyes are smeared with erythromycin ointment, and they're given a hepatitis B vaccine in their first day of life. And what are these two things for? I mentioned this because it's just emblematic of how we're put on the pharma treadmill from the moment we are born in this country for reasons that are very strange. The erythromycin ointment is to prevent chlamydial infections of the eye, which we test women for chlamydia. So why would every baby in the United States need this ointment if the mom doesn't have it? And the Hep B vaccine is for hepatitis B, which is a sexually transmitted disease and IV drug user disease, of course, which babies are not going to be exposed to.
So that's an important one. We've talked about this. We've had Leslie talk about this. Being an RN, this is an insane thing to be on the childhood schedule. And when you do call it out, you tell the pediatrician, you tell the doctor, no, I don't think I want my baby to have this. This is a sexual transmitted disease. They bully you. They try and shame you. They keep at it until you cave. So that's a massive problem. The parents are waking up to now. So she's hitting bullet points. But when we go back to the politics and the optics of the situation, there are a lot of MAHAs that are celebrating this right now. I'm going to give you one that's not celebrating this, and then I'm going to pass it to you, Craig. But this is a very important tweet I saw from Nicole Shanahan. As we know, Nicole was the VP nomination on the ticket with RFK. This, if anything, gives away what's going on behind the curtain. This tweet certainly does. And it seems to me that Nicole doesn't really care about the consequences to this tweet. She seemed like she just needed to get this out in the world. Well, here it is. Nicole Shanahan says, yes, it's very strange. It doesn't make any sense. I was promised that if I supported RFK Jr. in his Senate confirmation, that neither of these siblings would be under HHS or in any appointment. And the siblings she's referring to are the Means brother and sister, in case he's one of those siblings. And the people much, much more qualified would be. I don't know if RFK very clearly lied to me or what is going on. It has been clear in recent conversations that he is reporting to someone regularly who's controlling his decisions, and it isn't President Trump. With regards to the siblings, there is something very artificial and aggressive about them, almost like they were bred and raised. And I want to get this last one here because this is the best part. She's saying as Manchurian assets.
Wow.
Wow. It's a lot.
You should take that down for a second again and let that just. Wow.
Yeah. Let that sink in.
Let that sink in.
Woo!
Look, I think it's also important too that we can understand and learn from RFK, right? And congratulations to Nicole Shannon for pointing out this way. I don't know if it's part of the whole theater and it was meant to be that way. Like this is the way they wrote the script. That there's turmoil within the Shanahan RFK faction, but I think it's very clear in understanding that what they say outside of them being part of the government is different than what happens when they actually get into government, where she's pointing out that, RFK is told what to do and it ain't by President Trump. The MMR vaccine that he had spoke out against, that he was then writing a paper to promote it and whatnot. And then the COVID vaccine is still part of the schedule, still part of the childhood schedule. There's been no change on that. So I think it's very different from when a woman, one of the Mean sisters, whatever, particular one, Casey Mean, goes on Tucker and says something, will be different than when she gets in. If she's going to get in, she's going to play ball. And that means everything she said on Tucker, you can throw right out the window. It doesn't mean a difference. And we see this right in front of our face with RFK. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get your skepticism that maybe her tweet, Nicole's tweet, is part of the game, but I don't know. I think that could have been a hasty, emotionally, like, kind of impulsive tweet, because you got these words in there. Like, I don't know if RFK lied to me. He's getting orders from someone. It's not Trump. I mean, to me, she might be unknowingly here implicating who we always knew. There was this Rabbi Shmuley element to everything RFK does that goes well beyond what Trump wants or doesn't want. There's this idea that there's this control in place, and she doesn't say the I word at all, but that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing
But here's the thing, Matt. Like I said, I'm not saying it is, but I'm skeptical and think it could be, because this is the way they get you. You get these little emotional victories, which then you start to put these people on a platform of sorts. Now people are saying, wow, look at Nicole Shanahan. She's already gained a lot of momentum. A lot of the libertarians were praising her. She was at the Libertarian Convention. They like what she had to say. Now she does this, and a lot of people are like, wow, I trust this woman. I like this woman. I'm going to back this woman, because Americans, they love their heroes. They really do. They need a hero. They can't look at themselves as their hero. RFK coming out to Donald Trump right after he announces the support of, there goes my hero, and the crowd's going nuts. But let's not forget, Shanahan has some kind of wonky and a little bit clouded history. I believe she was one of the people funded behind Event 207, or she had some money behind one of those.
201, yeah.
Event 201, excuse me. So, I mean, she's got some murky past, so you always got to keep an eye on them, because here they go. You're with them because, hey, we agree with you, right? We love you for sticking out and being our voice, but then they take you somewhere else. It's like Ian Davis says, you always got to be aware of where they're taking you, not just what they've said in the past. Where are they leading you? Look at that. Because if they're leading you down the wrong path, they've exposed themselves. They're compromising. You got to 86 them. You got to 86 them quick, just like RFK. A lot of us didn't listen because we looked at there was actually principle and points of view to stand behind him. No, there wasn't. I get a pass once again because I'm the one who went up there and asked him his stance on Israel-Palestine. You other suckers, libertarians, you don't get a pass. No
pass. I also would want to give a shout out to Derek Bros, who confronted RFK about Israel as well. So there's a handful of you guys on the right side of things and consistent. Not so much anyone else. Let's look at some of the response. Look, I know if there's viewers watching right now that say, okay, so what literally is the problem? Because again, I played that clip on Tucker because she's saying the right stuff. We need to have these conversations about what's on this vaccine schedule. But what is the problem behind this sibling pair that Nicole mentions in there? Well, let's see couple of the pushbacks here. I found earlier. Carol Mack says Casey Means and her mediocre rise onto the best podcast, a best-selling book on the top of the tip of everyone's lips out of nowhere. That was the plan all along. Her daddy was working for a Rockefeller. in just icing on the cake. Can't believe how many people are lapping this up. And then friend of the show, Mary Talley Bowden, she has said that all the people celebrating Casey Means, give it a month, see if she continues to sit in silence while millions of children continue to get the shots. I hope I'm wrong, but she has yet to speak out. And then this is from Health Ranger. The entire emergence of Casey Means was engineered by a public relations group. She's not a health freedom advocate. She's not a vaccine truther. She'll never recommend natural cancer cures or remedies. She's basically cosplaying as a MAHA champion. In reality, she's an establishment pick, and she'll push the establishment narrative 100% guaranteed. Count on it. Craig, this seems to be exactly your take on this. Everything kind of checks out that they're just following the script.
One of the things that you have to be skeptical about, and I might get some pushback here, I don't think from everybody, I know Applejack will agree with me, is that if you go on Tucker, you got to watch out. Tucker had Mike Benz on before anybody knew him, and turns out Mike Benz is just the insider all the way and pushing for a Trump presidency and a lot of hot air. But he started his big thing when he was on Tucker. Everybody was sharing the Tucker interview. And so this here again, you know what I'm saying? It's just it's skeptical. You know what I'm saying? It seems like the PR campaign has a connection to Tucker and can get that person on, and that would elevate that person. So I'm very skeptical. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people like Tucker and they think he's evolved to where he is nowadays. I'm still always cautious if he has anybody on the show because, you know, it could be a trap. It could be that whole, I mean, that's the way you want to put it right there. That's the outsider, right? Oh, it's Tucker right now. He's pushing back against the deep state. He's even coming to fruition now, pushing back against Israel. But I'm always cautious when they start over there at Tucker.
Yeah, and it's good to stay skeptical on this. And Craig, you're like in the front of it every time. You're the first one to say, I call BS. But we don't just call BS and look away. We got to keep looking. Let's look closer. And I like the sentiment of let's hope we're wrong, but probably right.
Probably right, but hoping we're wrong.
Yeah.
Don't want to be right on these things.
No, we don't. No, we don't.